Yes, people, what's good? Um, Recently, I did a little post on Twitter, and I said that I was going to talk about a couple of different topics. And one of those topics was Nipsey Hussle, and in particular, some of the nonsense that has been spoken about Nipsey Hussle since his passing. Now, today feels like as good a day as any, just to put a little bit on that topic. I won't be talking for long, um, but it's just a quick one. So a couple of people in the hip hop community, which is disappointing, came out and said that Nipsey Hussle wasn't a legend, didn't have legendary status, which is a matter of opinion. Which, to be honest, to each their own. To me, is a legend. He was a legend before he died, but that's another story. One particular voice, I'm not gonna name the person, came out and said that Nipsey Hussle wasn't a legend because he only dropped one album. He said Nipsey Hussle wasn't a legend because he only dropped one album, which in his eyes is Victory Lap, which was Grammy nominated. Again, another story. So for me, there's two angles that you really have to cover here. The first one is you're equating a man's status as a legend solely to the music that is created. And that's something I'm going to talk about. And then the second thing is you're saying that Nipsey Hussle made one album, and the two things are very, very closely linked. So a lot of people didn't really follow Nipsey Hussle for a long time. Now, I used to follow Nipsey Hussle back in the day, in the LimeWire days. I used to download Nipsey Hussle's tunes. And Nipsey Hussle came up with this thing called his leaks. And he'd leak a song every time he got another 1,000 followers. And if you listen to old school Nipsey Hussle, he'll say 56,000. And that was how many people had followed him for him to drop the leak. Now, this is mad for a couple of reasons. First of all, when everyone was still trying to sell their music through CDs, through your HMVs and your WH Smiths and whoever was selling CDs, Nipsey Hussle didn't sell his music. That was his first move. His first move was he didn't sell his music, he gave his music away. Have the music for free. Come and see my show. By doing that, he recorded over people's beats, didn't have to pay copyright. Smart. He got more people to listen to his music. When you was paying £15 for a CD, if you didn't know who a man was, you weren't going out to buy a CD for £15. But if I said to you, oh, here's a free CD, or here's free music you can download, everyone was downloading his music. So no, the stats ain't there to say Nipsey Hussle sold this many copies of Crenshaw or the Marathon or whatever it might be. But people were listening. Because they were listening, Nipsey Hussle was selling out shows. And what he did, which a lot of people don't realise, is he blueprinted for a lot of artists the fact that streaming could be a better way to go for them. So when record labels bought in streaming and they wanted to make more money off the artist and the artist would make less money, it actually made a lot more money for certain artists because artists could get their music out there and people would listen. You never had to commit. If I've paid my £10 for Spotify and you drop an album, I'll listen to your album. It doesn't matter. I've already paid my £10 for Spotify. So what that means is I get bigger listenership. I get more people tuning into what I'm doing because they don't have to commit £15 or $20 or whatever it is to listen to my music. So Nipsey Hussle pioneered that because Nipsey Hussle was putting out free music before you even had to pay a subscription fee. Nipsey Hussle was putting out that free music, and that free music got him followers and got him fans. That showed something to people. But then he went a step further because he started educating black rappers on ownership. Don't let a label give you £20,000 and make £1 million off your music. You might only make £100,000 if you don't go with the label, but it's £100,000 for you. So what are you selling yourself to the label for the fame and exposure? And in 3 years your career's done and you ain't got no money. He showed them, own your own stuff. Own your own stuff. Ownership in music was where he started what became a legacy of entrepreneurship in the hip-hop community and in the black community. So now when we talk about is Nipsey Hussle a legend, let's talk about what he did for ownership. Let's talk about what he did for business acumen in the black community and in the hip-hop community. Then what did he do? He made CDs that he only made 1,000 copies of the CD. And he sold each copy. No, he made 1,000 copies of the CD and he sold each copy for $100. And when you bought the copy, you got to come to his shop, you got a little sign, you got a little signature on your CD, and that was it. 1,000 copies, $100 each, $100,000, just like that. These times, rappers were selling millions of albums and making 10 grand. He sold 1,000 albums and made 100 grand. You want to talk about this man's legacy and compare it to him dropping one album. Now let's go all the way back to the first point. Nipsey Hussle only made one album. So what was Crenshaw? What was The Marathon? What was The Marathon Continues? If you know about Nipsey Hussle, you can name more. He was releasing this music in ingenious ways, in ways that rappers have tried to follow ever since. You want to say he only made one album because he only made one album in the system and the structure that you subscribe to. The system and the structure that Nipsey Hussle was helping to break down for these rappers. So when people say Nipsey Hussle doesn't have a legacy because he only dropped one album, they show that they have no comprehension of what Nipsey Hussle was doing. So for someone to say that Nipsey Hussle isn't a legend because he only released one album in the traditional format of releasing albums, it goes to show they've got no understanding of what Nipsey Hussle was doing. That's like saying that Illmatic's not a classic because it didn't have any features on it. It's the whole point of the thing. So you've obviously not understood that Nipsey Hussle managed to release one album like that, but all of his other projects, he made more money off than most rappers. He got wider reach than most rappers. He had a bigger impact than most rappers with projects that you don't consider as albums because they weren't released in a format that he spent his whole career tearing down. He doesn't respect what you're talking about as releasing albums. He never respected it. He showed other rappers that they don't have to respect it. So if you're still stuck there, you're not even in a mindset to keep up, to even critique Nipsey Hussle. You need to keep your mouth closed. And so this is the impact that he's had on the rap community. And you hear rappers say Nipsey gave game. He never sold game to the rap community. He gave them game. He gave them free game. He gave free game in the hood. He had people understanding stuff that they could never understand before he dropped it. And that to me leads on to his biggest impact, which is a community. And by the community, I don't just mean his community. I mean my community. I mean communities of people impoverished, of black people who have seen a system take advantage of them over and over again. And he showed them how to come up out of that. And certain people's idols in hip hop who have acted like they're giving game, but really they're just showing you how they got rich and just profiting themselves off the same system that tried to first do them over. Now they've used it to do over other young black people. He's gave free game. He's brought people along with him. He's shown people paths that they couldn't follow. And it's no surprise then, when it come time for his funeral, you had feuding sets from all over the area that he came from come together to respect Nipsey Hussle, to put some respect on Nipsey Hussle's name. Now you got people with no respect on their name disrespecting Nipsey Hussle. Behave yourself. Now I said the video was going to be short and I've already spoke for way longer than I wanted to, so I'm going to stop. But listen, if your measure of a legend is their output in a structure that they held down, you're not in a position to even speak. You might think Nipsey Hussle's a legend, you might not think he's a legend. For me, it was a cold lyricist when I was 15 years old. He became a legend through the impact that he made. That's just me. You don't have to love Nipsey Hussle. I don't care if you love Nipsey Hussle. To be honest, I bet you Nipsey Hussle's people don't care if you loved him. And Nipsey made it very clear for his whole life. He don't care if you love him or not. He's done amazing things. You always have to show respect. People who love Nipsey Hussle know. People who don't love Nipsey Hussle, safe and do you.